In this video, we're gonna learn some basics about Japanese speech patterns. Do you remember the two rules that I talked about in my last video? Number 1, the first 2 syllables must have different pitches. Number 2, there can be only one peak of pitch in a word, which means once the pitch goes down in a word, it will never go back up. So according to these rules, there's no patterns like watashi or watashi or watashi. These patterns don't exist in Tokyo dialect. In general, Japanese speech patterns can be categorized into 2 types. Number 1, flat type. Number 2, downstep type. So the pitch generally starts out low at the beginning of a word, then gradually and slightly goes up and levels out with the first pattern, which is a flat pattern. And in the case of the second pattern, it starts out low and goes up until you reach the so-called accent peak, after which it drops suddenly. Here's an example of the flat pattern. Watashi, watashi. So you don't pronounce it as watashi or watashi. They are wrong. It starts out low with wa, then gradually and slowly the pitch goes up. Not dramatically, don't exaggerate. It's a subtle rise, you almost don't hear it. It sounds nearly flat, hence the term flat type. This is a flat pattern and by far the most common pitch pattern in Japanese nouns, so definitely it's your go-to pattern when you don't have any clue which accent to use. Now, let's look at an example for the second pattern, the downstep type, the one which has an accent peak. Anata, anata. This one has its accent peak on the second to last mora, na. So the first mora, a, is low, then goes up to the peak, na, then suddenly drops towards the end, ta, anata. And the downstep type can be further categorized into subtypes according to where the peak is located, either the first, the second, or the third, or the fourth mora, if the word has 4 morae, for example. In my last video, I said there's no way to know the exact pitch pattern of a word. Having said that, there are certain patterns that occur more often than other patterns in certain types of words. So if you know these pattern variations, even if you don't know the correct accent of a word, you can take a guess and chances are you may get it right. So you want to learn these patterns? Let's get started. There's some things that you should know about Japanese pitch patterns. Number 1, 70% of original Japanese words, also called wago, and also 50% of Chinese loanwords have flat patterns. And number 2, 95% of loanwords have downstep patterns with their accent peak on the third to last bar. Which means whenever you see a word that you don't know how to pronounce but sounds like a wago, try to say it with the flat pattern. Here's some flat type examples in wago or original Japanese words. Shika, shika. Tora, tora. Usagi, usagi. Kaeru, kaeru. Ushi, ushi. Nezumi, nezumi. Niwatori, niwatori. Rakuda, rakuda. Notice that all these words don't have any accent peak. Kabocha, kabocha. Ninniku, ninniku. Shouga, shouga. Yasai, yasai. Ringo, ringo. Budou, budou. Momo, momo. Ichigo, ichigo. Kita, kita. Minami, minami. Nishi, nishi. Higashi, higashi. Ue, ue. Shita, shita. 右、右、左、左、お茶、お茶、水、水、皿、皿、やかん、やかん、椅子、椅子、机、机、ゴミ箱、ゴミ箱、床、床、花、花、首、首、顔、顔、へそ、へそ、お腹、お腹、背中、背中、お尻、お尻、太もも、太もも。And because the flat pattern is so common and sounds natural to most Japanese, and it takes less effort for pronunciation, that people tend to apply this pattern even to words that normally would take downstep patterns. For example, I said earlier that most loanwords take downstep patterns. However, one of the exceptions is when loanwords become very common and widespread among Japanese. In other words, when they become Japanized, their pitch sometimes change from downstep to flat. Here are some examples of words where both flat and downstep patterns are acceptable, although it's mostly young people who tend to pronounce them with flat patterns. So it's okay to say either 図書館 or 図書館, 画面 or 画面, 彼女 or 彼女, 彼氏 or 彼氏, かなり or かなり, ドラマ or ドラマ, ショップ or ショップ, ギター or ギター. Here are another examples. クラブ or クラブ, バイク or バイク, ビデオ or ビデオ, サーファー or サーファー, ダンサー or ダンサー, Windows or Windows, Google or Google, LINE or LINE. So these are the examples of words that may be pronounced with the flat pattern by mostly young people or even some older generations. You can pronounce these words the old-fashioned way with the downstep pattern, of course, or you can go with the flat pattern. It's up to you. Now on to loanwords. As I said earlier, 95% of them have their accent P on the third to last molar. For example, サラダ、サラダ、ミルク、ミルク、バナナ、バナナ、オレンジ、オレンジ、チョコレート、チョコレート、アイスクリーム、アイスクリーム、オイル、オイル、ケーキ、ケーキ. If the word is only made up of two morae, the accent P comes at the beginning. For example, ドア、ドア、ガス、ガス、バス、バス、瓶、瓶、パン、パン、パイ、パイ、キス、キス、チェス、チェス. If the third to last molar happens to be a glide or the second element of a long vowel, diphthong, or double consonant, the accent peak will move up to the previous molar. For example, サッカー、サッカー、スーパー、スーパー、キャンパス、キャンパス、エレベーター、エレベーター、セーター、セーター、タイトル、タイトル、ソックス、ソックス、オーブン、オーブン。Now we are going to practice what we've learned so far. Can you guess how to pronounce these words? I'll give you the time to answer, so please try to say it. Let's begin. The answer is サランラップ、サランラップ。The answer is シャツ、シャツ。The answer is バスケット、バスケット。The answer is サングラス、サングラス。The answer is スノーボード、スノーボード。How did it go? Hope they weren't too difficult. Of course, there are many exceptions, and today I only picked the words that fit the two rules I presented earlier for wago and loanwords. In order to learn more pitch patterns, I advise you that when you build up your vocabulary, make sure to check the pitch patterns in a dictionary, memorize them along with the meaning of the words, and try to use them as much as possible in a conversation with your Japanese friends or teacher. And make sure to ask them beforehand to correct you when they notice that you use the wrong pitch. Otherwise, they might feel shy to correct you. So now it's time for me to wrap it up. Today, we've learned the Japanese standard accent has two types of pitch patterns. One is flat and the other one is downstep, which means the pitch starts low and go up, then either fall or stay flat. Most of Japanese native nouns plus half of Chinese loanwords take flat patterns. Also, flat pattern sounds more natural compared to other types, so when you are in doubt, go with the flat pattern just to be on the safe side. Most of loanwords have their accent peak on the third to last molar, which means if they are made up of 2 or 3 morae, they have their accent peak at the beginning of the word, then the pitch falls right after. That's it for today. I hope it was helpful. If you have any questions, comment below. I'll try to answer them. Thank you for watching. See you next time.